Good morning. I'm Cymphanie Sherman here with Rebecca Coleman, and the good thing is we're going to have nice weather for that day. Welcome back. It is just about 6:45 here on Iowa's Newsdown. Now, Saturday was a game to remember as two of the best college football teams in the country, Penn State and Iowa, squared off against each other. What was arguably the biggest game so far this college football season, and for the first time since 1985, two teams ranked in the top 5 met at Kinnick Stadium. I just need viewers to know, though, that you tried to explain the science of a cheese curd, and it took you a lot of thought. That's how much she loves cheese, folks. Good morning. I'm Cymphanie Sherman here with Rebecca Coleman. And Rebecca, we had another gloomy day, but we also saw something cool in the sky. Iowa's News Now anchor Nick Weig is sitting down with Mayor Hart to talk about running against a current colleague at City Hall and the friction over the leadership and future makeup of the police department. We continue our coverage of Mental Health Awareness Week at the University of Iowa. Last year, the school committed to reimagining campus safety. One recommendation was getting professional help to bridge the gap between students and mental health services. New cases, hospitalizations, and deaths from COVID-19 are on the decline in the U.S., but there is still substantial activity levels across the country and in Iowa. Good morning. We'll get to all those stories and so much more. First, I want to get right over to our weather first forecast. It has some rain back in the picture. It has been quite a mess out here. There's still debris covering some of the roadways. However, it's looking a lot better than it did that first day we were out here. I can walk the streets and just find shingles from roofs. And then if you actually walk more to the right of this road, you see the house in the tree. I'm sure you can see the snow is still coming down right now, but the brunt of it is over. You can walk over to the other side of the street and just find people's belongings. John, you can see the council bench officially bears Sean Gregory's name as Ward 2 alderman, but this process has been a roller coaster.
I've been dumbfounded and cried more happy tears over this kid in the last year than I think I ever thought possible.
Happy tears, not a common phrase during a global pandemic, but Amanda Gollitz has good reason for them.
Come on.
She decided to take on the challenge of fostering a child in December 2019. Little did she know, 3 months later, the world would shut down, including schools, forcing her to not only parent Zane, but also become his teacher.
From his past, he's been in 5 different schools, so he's still catching up a lot in general. The teachers have been great. They've worked with me. You know, I'm probably doing more than most would virtually, but you know, he's got ADHD, so sitting down and watching slides on the computer is not a simple task at all.
Amanda admits it hasn't always been easy, but fostering and adoption can be scary even without the added stress of the pandemic. And now foster and adoption agencies like Four Oaks are helping families like Amanda's navigate constant change.
The biggest challenges that we have seen is school changes and daycare availability.
Homeschooling is a completely new option.
Historically, in fostering and pre-adoption, there is no option to do homeschooling. And so you have to have your kids enrolled in public school.
Before, children were required to physically be in the classroom, allowing for system oversight and socialization. Now, both foster and biological families work with the state to choose the best learning option. But schooling isn't the only factor to consider. There's also the risk of bringing someone into your family and then having to quarantine. But for agencies like Four Oaks, these risks haven't changed how many families are stepping up to help these children.
When this all started, many of us wondered, like, oh my gosh, how many families are we going to lose because we have this big pandemic going on and children that may be exposing their family, and how are we going to keep families safe? And I tell you what, we have had an amazing year of foster families opening their arms, opening their doors, and helping other families out.
That's people like Amanda, who used the pandemic to form a bond with Zane, filled with a lot of firsts.
Me making a pizza.
Baking for the first time, building a Rubik's Cube, making a gingerbread house, and in November, she made it official and adopted him.
He's definitely where he wants to be. He's told everybody who's asked him, judge included, that he wants to stay here. I think he told the judge forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
While she says adoption is no easy task, she encourages others to take a chance and help another child like Zane find their forever home. It was just a typical August day for Clarence Bosenberg as he laced up his sneakers, grabbed his helmet, and hit the trail. Little did he know his afternoon hobby was going to come face to face with hurricane force winds, forcing him to rush for shelter.
I just thought if I could just make it to Hy-Vee or any place, because I didn't want to be on the trail. There's trees, that would be blown over. And
Luckily, an employee at a car shop saw Clarence and told him to hunker down inside. So there they sat, waiting out the storm.
I rode across and rode into his garage, and just as I got there, the storm cut loose, and oh my, I never saw anything like it in my life.
Days later, we learned another man was also out biking during the storm. Sadly, 63-year-old Thomas Rowland was not able to make it to safety. To keep his legacy alive, someone placed this ghost bike along the trail where he was last seen doing what he loved, and for Clarence, he'll keep pedaling for Thomas and counting his lucky stars.
Could have been me, too. Yes, I was just so lucky.
We woke up to our house shaking, and I saw a glowing orange light coming through our blinds on our windows, and I knew something was up because it was loud.
It was just 4 a.m. when a massive rumble woke Mark Waltman and his wife. This is video from his security camera. The sights and sounds re-sparking haunting memories.
Years ago I experienced a fire, so I got up and started looking out the windows and seen a glow over here, and I tried to get some clothes on to come see if I could render assistance.
He quickly rushed to the scene.
Pieces of the roof blew more than a house away, and there's pieces of plywood laying in the street half a block away.
The neighboring homes also suffering major damage, and the blast blew in windows streets away.
Just heard the one boom, and it sounded like an explosion. Either that or an awful big shotgun. But it was just the one boom, and I knew what it was.
When crews arrived on scene, they found a small fire, which they were able to quickly put out. But they stayed on the scene over 7 hours working to get things under control.
Safety is an issue when you have that city block. It's a issue because you'd only have so much resources to get to all these people.
2 people were in the home when it exploded and were taken to the hospital. The nursing home across the street, United Presbyterian Home, says it was 2 of its staff members that rescued one of those victims.